Hello and welcome to episode 15 of The Long Haul from uShip. Great to be back with you. We took a little bit of a break to get some new shows lined up for you, but we've got an exciting couple of episodes coming your way to close out 2020 and bring us into 2021. We're doing a two-part series here. The first one is going to be covering how much money carriers are making on uShip and where the opportunity on our marketplace really is, kind of going into some details about each of those commodities. And the next episode, the second one, is one we're really excited to bring. It's addressing the number one piece of feedback we get from our carriers, which are our fees. And we've been recently taking some really exciting actions on those and wanted to get into the details and make sure that those were shared with you so that everybody was on the same page as we move into the next year and kind of share uShip's strategy for fees moving forward. And joining me today, as always, is Dean Jutilla. Dean, how are you today?
Hey, Joe. Great to be here. I'm doing great. Thank you very much. Happy New Year almost.
Yeah, happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
So we wanted to today kind of talk about where we're seeing carriers make money.
Yeah, some really interesting data that we pulled from our database and looking over the last 12 months and over really what are some of the top earning categories that transporters are participating in. Really the factors. We'll look at a few things around here, but there are some real specific factors that determine how much you can make. They really impact your earning potential on uShip. So we'll talk about those, and then we're going to talk about the top 5 categories in which you can make money on uShip, and we'll also be looking at the national average as well, as far as how that compares to uShip.
Awesome. That's exciting stuff. I think this will be really useful for carriers.
Yeah, and the interesting part about this is we look at that national average versus uShip, and we're kind of a difficult comparison, I'd say, out there in the market because of our unique set of providers and in terms of what they haul and what they drive. And so when you look at that compared to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics that we're going to be looking at, that is really compared to trucks that are probably the Class 8 vehicles, 18-wheel vehicles that are hauling and maybe full truckload in that market. So there might be not a real apples to apples comparison, but it is pretty close. It's the closest we have in order to kind of see how we stack up on the national average.
Great. So how do you want to do this? Should we?
Joe, I want to do a reverse countdown and we'll see how that goes. And so that adds a little suspense to the whole thing. Yeah. So we're going to go at number 5, and that is number 5. The number 5 category for what you can earn on uShip comes in vehicles, and it's one of the most popular categories, that being cars and light trucks on uShip. And what we're finding is the top vehicle haulers on uShip make between about $35,000 and $26,000 a year, or another way of putting it, between $26,000 and $35,000 a year. And the top 25% make nearly $15,000 a year. So a lot of times this is augmented with a lot of other sources that they're shipping through. If they are connected to dealerships or some other way, and they're getting a lot of other vehicles. So this is a complement likely to what else they're shipping. If you think about how much vehicle opportunity there is out there, I mean, there's auction to dealer, there's dealer to dealer, there's dealer to door. And the way that the market has gone right now in cars and light trucks with the used car vehicle during the pandemic and people buying online, it's just turned the whole thing on its ear. So I would anticipate if we look at this number a year from now, that number is probably going to be a lot higher.
Yeah, it's definitely something I know that we're chasing opportunities as well to bring clients onto the website that are needing to get that new capacity that they're finding fulfilled. Not as many people are going into the dealership, which personally I'm a fan of. I don't think anybody likes going and spending a whole day haggling with a dealer, and I think that it's a change that's probably going to be here to stay, even as we come out of the pandemic in the next few months.
I think you're right. I think you're exactly right.
So,
all right, well, let's go on to number 2, actually number 4, as it were. And that one, can you take a guess, Joe? I haven't shared this list with you yet, so I want you to be surprised as well.
If I had to take a guess, I'm just going to go random, and let's say patchouli.
Patchouli is not on the list. I'm sorry,
Darn.
but it is actually heavy equipment. So number
Okay.
4 on the list is heavy equipment. And this is a category on uShip that is about the top 5% of equipment haulers on uShip make about $56,000 a year. So a really great look at that. And the top 10% make an average of around 40,000 a year.
Wow.
And so you have to think about this with heavy equipment as those who haul it. It takes a real expertise. It takes, the sheer size and the weight of these items. It can make it very complicated, and you're dealing with needing to have the right know-how, the right equipment, the right permits, and then just grit to get this thing done. And you're going to yards. You're picking up skid steers. You're picking up dozers, trucks, things like that, and to get those on your vehicle and get those moved is no easy task, and they're certainly looking at, they're being rewarded for it because it is a heavier lift in a lot of ways as this goes. And so these things literally are one of the most challenging things to ship. And again, that average is the top 5% make about 56,000 a year on uShip.
Yeah, and this is a really great commodity. I've actually spent some recent time, looking into our carrier base on this, and there is a lot of opportunity for carriers if they're looking to expand their footprint on uShip, or maybe move into a commodity that they're not used to. You got to get your ducks in a row. You have to have the right equipment. You have to have the right, registration through the DOT and FMCSA. But once you have those things, you could position yourself as one of the top 5 carriers in this commodity really quickly. And there are some really good opportunities for it on our website through Ritchie Brothers, through GovPlanet, things like that, where we're out at those auctions that are happening, pretty much monthly. That hundreds, if not thousands, of heavy equipment items get sold, and we're there marketing, saying, hey, did you just buy a skid steer? List it on uShip and get some quotes to get it shipped to you. And while a lot of those listings get quotes, sometimes they don't get matched, sometimes they don't get quotes at all. And if you're a carrier that can step in and fulfill some of that capacity, these are high dollar shipments that they earn a lot of money. And it's in just one run. So, anyone looking for a commodity to get into, I think that there's a lot of opportunity there.
Exactly right. You mentioned Ritchie Brothers. That's a great point. There is a certain level of, service level that they expect out of carriers, and if you meet that criteria, there's a lot of opportunity, like you mentioned. The one thing to mention there too is not all of it is our skid steers and dozers and huge articulated trucks. There are buckets and generators and things that are all sold online now. That through their online auctions at Ritchie Brothers, they've moved pretty much everything online. You still have to go to the yard and pick them up as a transporter, and take them to their buyer. But the idea here is it's not all massive items. There are things that you could take in a potentially in your enclosed trailer, things on an open trailer, things like that. So you have an opportunity, like just exactly like you mentioned.
Yeah, definitely great point that it's not all, it's not all giant items. They're still going to be heavy, but you can make a run out of it just from one auction site.
So let's go to the next category, and this is just ahead of heavy equipment in terms of earning, and that is boats. Top 5% of boat haulers on uShip make an average of $56,000 per year, and that was right in line with what heavy equipment made. I think it was just a few dollars difference, so pretty much exactly there. And then the top 10% make an average of $43,000 a year hauling boats, and this is watercraft of all shapes and sizes. So it's not just, say, sailboats or not just ski boats. We're talking like across the entire category. And really, like heavy equipment, it involves special skill and expertise to make it happen. So you really need to know what you're doing. Remember, you've got someone who is, named this vehicle potentially, whether it's the yada yada or the frisky business or the seduction or something like that. Someone's put a cheesy name on the back of their boat, and they are in a position to really not let that thing get damaged in any way, shape, or form. And they're easily damageable, I guess you could say, if they're that type of item. And so the fact that you need that special skill and special equipment is super important. and puts us right around 56,000 a year for the average carrier, or actually what the top 5% of carriers are making in that category.
Yeah, and that's a really, that's a commodity we see being really seasonal. And I think that it's interesting that 3 and 4 are heavy equipment and boats, because I think they're commodities that the skill set kind of lends themselves to each other. If you're a boat hauler, this time of year, there's not many people looking to have a boat shipped. But as we move into the spring, getting into the summer, there's a lot of people that want their boat brought from their home to the lake house or to the to the boat yard, and then in the winter there's as the summer comes to an end, so more in the fall really, but they're looking to have it brought back, or as people make those new purchases moving into the summer. That's really when we see boat shipments take off, and it's a great way to kind of offset other slower seasons. Summer is typically a slower season for freight than spring and fall, so it's a great time to step in and kind of earn a little extra in those periods where freight does slow down. Although the way the shipping industry is going right now, it doesn't look like there's going to be anything slowing down for a little while.
No, that's exactly right.
Yeah,
jam-packed.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's move to number 2 on the list.
Okay.
And can you take a guess there, Joe?
I could probably get this one for real, because I think I know what our top 2 commodities are, but I don't know which order they're in. So I'm going to guess household goods.
Man, you did spoiler alert on number 1. Actually, number 2 is motorcycles.
All right, it's close.
So top motorcycle carriers on uShip make an average of over 71,500 a year. So almost over 71,000 they make in that top 5%. The top 10% make 53,000.
Wow.
And the top 25% make an average of 32,500 per year.
Wow.
So this is our the second highest earning category on uShip, and it's obviously one of the most popular places to ship ATVs and mopeds and motorcycles, everything that you'd imagine, Harleys and crotch rockets and dirt bikes, you name it. It ships on their ATVs. So you have a lot of people who begin their uShip career, I guess you could say, on this category, because it is one of those things that you can haul a lot of, and there are a lot to ship. So this is one of those things that we have a partnership, or actually one of the sites that uses us frequently is Rumble On. If you're familiar in the motorcycle world, you know that name, and that has been a real opportunity for them to get their motorcycle shipped off their marketplace very quickly.
Yeah, this is a great commodity, especially for somebody that might have a pickup truck and be looking to get into this industry. If you get an enclosed trailer and learn a thing or two about strapping these bikes down and how to care for them while they're being hauled, you can be hauling 6, 7, 8 of these at a time, and really making a good amount of money net to yourself. And again, like boats, these sometimes are or oftentimes they're prized possessions. They're somebody has spent some time saving up. They've probably not going to be their primary means of transportation, and so this is kind of their luxury item, and so they really want it taken care of. And so that means that if you can meet that level of service, you're dealing with somebody that's probably willing to spend a little bit more to make sure that their baby's making it home safe.
Yep, that's exactly right. No, great point there, Joe.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to number 1, and that is, as you said earlier and spoiled the whole suspense. Thanks, Joe.
I'm sorry.
Is household goods, and this is the top earning category, and the top 5% of household goods carriers make over 80,000 a year.
Wow.
And that's it's a really strong showing there, and the top 10% make an average of 56,000. So on par with what the heavy equipment and the boats top haulers were making. So right in there. Yeah. And then if you go down even a level further, the top 25% of haulers in motorcycle household goods, rather, they make about 30,000. So this is a great place to start if you're just coming into uShip, because it a lot of times requires maybe less handling, let's say, than a boat would, or a piece of heavy equipment. Yeah. And you can kind of build up. I've talked to a number of carriers who began in this category. And the other thing that's driving this, this is really a volume game for transporters, because they can fit a lot in their their enclosed trailer or in their Sprinter van to get the job done. But the thing that's driving this is our in-home delivery partnerships, and that would be companies like Cherish and EBTH and First Dibs and others who are really repeat business customers. And a number of the carriers here, that's really driving that number higher, because a lot of carriers are finding really great opportunity and repeat business within this in-home delivery category that we have on our site.
Yeah, it's been a really big boom for this commodity, is having those repeat business clients. Got clients doing nearly 2,000 shipments a month now, every single month. And we've seen this year in particular, typically around this time of year, there is in the past been a decline, or in the holidays, in this commodity, but not this year. We've seen every month leading up through December, it's just been month over month breaking records in this commodity, and it's a really good one to get involved in. And like you were saying, Dean, it is a volume game, but there are carriers that they've figured out, because this is such a reliable commodity, and it is there's always going to be freight that needs to be moved within household goods. Carriers have really built up regular routes, so they know that they're going to be in a particular area every 14 to 21 days, or whatever the case may be for their routes. And they schedule it so that hey, I'm looking for those shipments that are going to be there at that time, and they keep their truck full all the time. And so they're really just always earning, and it's a really good commodity to start your business in. It lends itself to different equipment types, be it box trucks, enclosed trailers, Sprinter vans. There's carriers that have fleets that have all three of those in them, and are really able to make it work. It does require some care of goods and a little bit of heavy lifting. You're often going to be taking these into people's houses and placing them where they'd be liked. And, obviously they're not going to want any damage to occur, while the item's being shipped. But, with that being said, there are carriers that are, doing 100 shipments a month in this commodity on uShip. It's really been a really great thing for our carriers.
And the other name we haven't brought up in this conversation that is certainly been gaining steam on uShip is our partnership with Etsy. And that is bringing a lot of one-of-a-kind pieces to the marketplace. And buyer, this is high intent repeat shipping that has to happen, and it needs to get there quickly. And typically that comes with a nice price to it. So another opportunity to make money there, and that partnership is only continuing to grow as it has over the last couple of years.
Yeah, they're really starting to come to uShip as their source for most of the stuff on Etsy has traditionally been parcel sized, which is not something uShip really specializes in. But I think it actually just was announced today that their strategy they're focusing on moving into the next year is they're really starting to focus on vintage goods that people have in their house, which are going to be larger than parcel, which are going to need somebody outside of UPS or FedEx or USPS to ship. And that's really going to be the niche where our carriers can come in and fill a need right away.
Absolutely. So Joe, one thing I'd bring up here is, if you are a transporter on uShip and you're hearing these numbers and you're like, man, I'm not getting near that, or how do I get near that, or I am doing that. Like if you're not in that same, not hitting these numbers, there's a few factors you might want to consider heading into the new year. And of course, things that we've talked about, and that is figuring out maybe how to haul Ritchie Brothers items, or how to tap into Etsy or into the in-home delivery opportunities that we've got. But there's other things you can do on your own, and we have this on our blog. But it's basically 5 easy ways to prepare for a successful 2021. And the first one that we talked about here a bit is kind of taking stock in your brand on uShip, and that would include everything from not only your equipment appearance, but also how you personally present yourself. And these are not requirements. I'm going to be really clear. These are not requirements on uShip, but these are recommendations that we make. And in some cases, the in-home delivery partners require certain things of carriers, but we recommend them, but don't require them. But if you are, going to be pulling up with your truck, there's a way to get it washed once in a while there. So you're pulling up in a vehicle that effectively presents yourself and your brand. Also, it maybe, one of the ideas we had running by people was, you're going to be battling traffic, and in the summer it's hot and you're trying to get certain places. Maybe keep a spare shirt with you in the truck that you can just put on maybe before you get there, and so you're presenting yourself. Maybe it has a logo on it or a fresh hat or something like that helps kind of better present yourself. Because driving all day is not an easy business, and so we want to make sure that we recommend certain things to help you better, best present yourself to your customers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Always, as much as you can over communicate and use electronic bill of lading, that's huge. Amazon Prime has kind of reset the standard around communication when it comes to shipping. You buy something on Amazon and a couple, 20 minutes later, it's like, your item's on the way. It's like, wow, that's great. And all of a sudden it arrives as expected. So there's a leaning towards knowing when things are going to get there. And if you participate in that, you're right there, keeping pace.
Absolutely.
One other thing that we'd recommend you do is look at your profile and make sure it's updated going into the new year. Just take a few minutes, get someone to maybe proofread the story of your company or your overview of your business, and make sure you're putting your photos in there. You probably have taken photos along the way of different shipments and you're proud of how you packed it or how it looks in your truck. And you go, hey man, I want to take another picture of this and post it on the site. Totally do that. It's a free marketing tool. It helps build your reputation. Everyone who's listening to this probably is very familiar with their profile, and it is a great way to market your business. One other way to do that is, and like you mentioned, Joe, at the beginning of the episode, we are going to take time to talk about fee reductions and account credits and how you can continue to do that in the coming year. We've made some huge strides there in helping reduce some of those fees. And so that just means more money in your pocket. So take advantage of some of those things, and we'll put a link in the blog, in this podcast description, so you can check out that page. And then the last thing would just be, of course, just prepare your equipment as best you can, because if you're out on the road and something breaks down, it only reflects poorly in that you didn't get it there on time, or there's a delay in some way, and that can only hurt your feedback, which then maybe hurts how many people will book with you, and it just kind of unravels from there. So if you are able to keep your equipment up to par and get it winterized now, or make sure tires are looking good and oil change, keep all the maintenance done, you will hopefully kind of eliminate some of those delays that may happen down the road. Of course, things happen on the road. We all know that, but that's just one of those things that kind of get ahead of the game.
Yeah, I think all those things are great, and take care of your gear will take care of you. And with the profiles, I think something that carriers should know as a resource. If you have a question, if you just want somebody to know to tell you, hey, does my profile look good? Give our member support team a call. They're great at that. They look at, probably 100 profiles a day as they, conduct their business, and they'd be happy to spend 5-10 minutes just giving it a quick read, making sure everything, reads correctly, looks good, and, giving you the thumbs up that, you've put a profile together. But it is really the first step that most people who are looking to ship with you are going to look at, is going to be your profile. And, there's some things that, you can control certainly on there, which is just how you present yourself. And then, the experiences you give to customers is going to be reflected in your feedback. So having those things working in tandem is really helpful, and taken collectively, all this stuff, it's sort of a snowball. You might start a little slow in uShip and not feel like you're going to be hitting the numbers that, we just listed in terms of income, but it just builds on itself. And so, your first month, you might only do a few shipments, but within a couple of months, you can really, be looking back and being like, geez, I can't believe I ever only did 4 shipments on uShip. I'm doing 50 or 60 a month now. And I it's getting harder to keep up even. So it's definitely a process, but it builds on itself, and you can get there.
Absolutely. Yeah. We've seen that time and time again. Thousands have built their business on the back of uShip. So we're excited to keep it rolling.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Dean, this has been great information, and I'm really excited about our next episode, because it's some stuff I've been working hard on, and some stuff some other people at uShip have been working hard on, but really working to address the feedback we've gotten about fees. So our next episode, which will be coming in early 2021, is going to be discussing that, going over the strategies that uShip is putting in place to make fees more understandable and better serve our carriers. So excited to bring that to you.
Really looking forward to that, Joe.
Yeah. Well, Dean, I appreciate you taking time out as always to come and chat with me and our listeners, and I hope you have a happy holiday.
Yeah, I hope you have one as well, and Happy New Year, everybody, and we'll see you in 2021.
All right. Thanks, Dean.
Thanks. Bye-bye.